need to do to work for you. So, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being part of this community practicing this awareness in, in Zoom person. Today, my talk is The Gift of Heaven is Forever Made. And the direction that I'm heading with this talk is that every single one of us already lives in the divine. And we have to wrap our minds around what that means and how it works for us. Part of it is the statement that Maria made at the beginning of the service. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is our life now. And then when we close the service, we actually bring it home a little more. That God's life is our life and is also the individualized life of every single being. Now, in the opening lines of Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind text, chapter 22, the text is called Finding the Christ. He wrote, "The mystical conception of the Christ means the universality of sonship, which is actually divine relatingness or relatedness. It is embodied in any individual who recognizes this relatedness." And Sharon read a little piece of that when she did the pre-service meditation, which I thought was, of course, divine timing. I actually disagree with Holmes on this. And I don't think I'm being, particular, because the Christ already resides in all beings. The gift is made, the gift has been given. Whether we see it or not, whether we recognize it or not, whether we acknowledge it, and whether we choose to accept it, express it, receive it, is up to us. And so the gift is given. It's sitting there, an unopened present. Or maybe we just tear the paper a little bit. Because we don't have to do anything to receive it. It's there. And so we get to unwrap this gift and the layers of it as we explore what it means for each one of us to be that Christ presence in our world. So that's what I want to talk about today, and for what I want us to think about today. How do we see? How do we accept? How do we express this, the Christ as us, in us, for us, by us, through us, in our world? I borrowed from the library a memoir by Viola Davis called Finding Me. She narrates the audiobook. There were times that it was a really difficult listen because life was really extraordinarily hard for her and her family when she was growing up. Incredible poverty, ignorance, racism, sexism, multiple addictions, several forms of abuse, alcoholism, rageaholicism, codependency, powerlessness, you name it. And she doesn't sugarcoat the telling of it in any way. There were two bright spots. She had an older sister who had lived away from the family for a number of years with her grandma. And then the older sister came back to the family. And when she did, she challenged Viola to decide what she wanted to be, what she wanted to achieve, and not let anything get in the way of achieving it. And Viola had one teacher in elementary school who worried and was very attached to these children. And when she saw the kids walking with their mom on a winter's day, and not in school, they were walking to the next town to see if they could get assistance to get the heat turned on. And the teacher came out wanting to know what was going on, and she couldn't do anything to help them, but just that simple attention and compassion touched Viola, and it made a difference in her life. So if you were in that position and you had virtually no cards stacked in your favor, how positively would you view yourself? For most of us, the answer is we wouldn't. Viola in her early life was driven by shame and fear, and she had no self-esteem, no self-respect, and no self-love. She did have stamina and strength and drive. And those qualities, God qualities, carried her forward, allowed her to meet the obstacles that showed up in her life and overcome them. Step by step, one by one, and sometimes one step forward and two steps back. But it was that essential essence of her that was divine that allowed her to move from her history, from her story, and to become the being, to become the expression of the Christ that is her, that is the one that we see when we watch her on the big screen and the small screen. And because of her life experiences, she learned compassion. She learned to love herself. She learned about the beneficial use of power. And she learned how to love people who weren't very lovable. She learned to channel her life experiences into the wide variety of characters that she played as an actor. She said that expressing those life experiences during the performance in theater, in movies, and in TV helped her learn forgiveness and helped her learn to reframe those experiences differently. And while I was thinking about this topic this week, it occurred to me that when we construct spiritual mind treatments, we claim those God qualities as they would show up in us during that unification step. And most of you have taken Foundations of the Science of Mind, and many of you have taken Power of Your Word. So you've had some practice with this. It can be really pretty awkward when we're looking at a very difficult situation, a condition, to find the God qualities that could apply in that condition, that situation. And harder still to imagine how those qualities could show up in you and as you. And in a Power of Your Word class from the first year during the pandemic, we did a treatment in the class. And it was around, the condition was, you go into a doctor's office and there are people that are fighting the mask thing, and there are people that are infecting everybody and creating a lot of discord, anger, frustration, and upset. So the class did a treatment on how to improve our imagining, how to improve our experience of this condition. The purpose step, which is always an affirmation, Spirit maintains harmony and ease in all persons and situations, including me. So if you think about that, even just that simple statement, that affirmation, if I'm feeling full of discord, if I decide to reframe and I think, no, I have a choice about how I be in this. And if I choose to see Spirit maintaining harmony, the odds are the experience will change. Next step, or first step, recognition. What are the God qualities that would apply? I know God as harmony, peace, unconditional love, order, and wisdom. Okay, good place to start. Now, unification step. How do these God qualities show up as me? I express the divine when I respond quietly and calmly, with peace, kindness, and ease. I express unconditional love when I act in a courteous and peaceful manner in all situations. I feel whole and at peace when I align myself with serenity, balance, compassion, love, and basic goodness. Question: are those qualities that were expressed in the unification steps qualities that would be expressed by enlightened beings, responding quietly and calmly, with peace, kindness, and ease, acting courteously, aligning with serenity, balance, compassion, love, and focusing on basic goodness? no matter what. Yeah, they are. So if claiming your Christ nature feels too uppity for you, then think about another being that you know about. Maybe you know just know about them, who lives or lived a higher order life. If you wish, you can unmute yourself to offer some names. But the ones that popped into my head, and it's funny, most of these are Buddhist, but it's what happens. Thich Nhat Hanh showed up in my head, the Dalai Lama, Buddha, and then Nelson Mandela, who was not an enlightened being when he went into prison. But when he came out after 27 years, he rearranged his thinking to focus on what was possible. He rearranged his thinking to realize that if he didn't forgive those people that held him in prison and were mean and nasty to him during those years, if he didn't forgive them, he was still trapped. That's an enlightened thought. Can you think of other people you know or people that you only know of, that would fit in that category?
The Baptist church in Georgia that forgave their.
Yes. The one was Charleston?
Mandela's, right?
Atlanta is what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right, Charles.
Yeah, it was Charleston. What are some other ones?
Keith Gorley.
Yeah. Yeah. Keith definitely acted as an enlightened being.
Kuan Yin.
Guan Yin for sure. Who else?
Along with what Marianne was saying, the Amish people,
Yes.
when the children were killed, you
Yes.
know, who prayed for the person that had done it.
Yes. Yeah. Who else?
St. Francis of Assisi.
St. Francis with the well, more than just with the animals, but certainly that, yes. Do we have any other examples?
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman working for freedom for the slaves. Yeah.
Wayne Dyer.
Yes, for sure.
Cesar Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
You think
So
Oprah would qualify?
So again?
You think Oprah would qualify?
Good question. I think so. I mean, we're not saying these people are, completely perfection itself, but they're certainly elevated. They're certainly working on their awareness of the world. You could even say somebody like Greg Braden. I mean, he's going at it from the scientific angle, but he's working to elevate himself and the people in his world. In fact, I'd even go further than that and say the HeartMath people, who figured out how to work this technology to allow lots and lots of people to align themselves toward a goodness.
Oh, Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle, yeah.
I'll throw in Neil Donald Walsh, and I think many of us at moments can say that
Many
about
of us,
ourselves.
yeah, many of us at moments.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Sharon. That's really a wonderful thought. I would never have put myself in moments at that.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the point of today's talk. So thank you for setting it up. Because many of us at moments have that, yeah. because we have this enlightened being that's part of us. And sometimes we remember and we let it out and we feel it and we embody it and we employ it. Cool. So Holmes, in the text, added poet Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass. That's a really amazing poem that just goes on for pages and pages. And he also added Aristotle and Plato and Ralph Waldo Emerson. So does this mean that these people lived ideal lives, never varying from their elevated consciousness? It's a rhetorical question. No, it didn't. It meant they knew how to open themselves up and make themselves available to this higher way of being and tap into it. So now I'm going to show you a short list of qualities of enlightened beings. It's not an inclusive list, but I want you to look at this list and consider which of these qualities you exhibit. And also consider which ones you're especially working on. You'll want to make some notes. And after a minute of showing you this screen, I'm going to open up some breakout rooms so you can talk to each other about how you feel about owning and expressing these qualities of enlightened beings. So let's see if I can actually do this like it's supposed to be done. Share screen, go. Can you see my list? It's 3 columns because it doesn't show up right on my screen. So take a look.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So consider this. Consider this list. Think about how you do these things, be these things, show up as these things. Some of them are verbs, some of them are not. Oh yeah, well, let me do that. Everybody got a couple on your list? Of things you do and things you aspire to? I'm looking for some thumbs up. Just a couple minutes. Actually, probably 5. Two people per room, or two Zoom rooms per room. It'll give you a chance to actually have a conversation. 5 minutes, maybe 6. And then the rooms will go away and you'll come back. Okay? When I push create, you have to choose to go into your room. And if you go there and your joiner doesn't join you, you can come back and talk to me. And I'll pause the recording. So go visit to your people, and I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Hi, Cherie. Good to see you.
So we agreed we would like to see that list in print and
Okay,
spend more time with it.
I'll stick it in the newsletter.
Oh, good idea.
I'll stick it in the newsletter.
I could have gotten a screenshot of it, but I forgot to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. 7, 6, 5. Everybody's going to bounce back in a second. Pop, 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 here they all come.
Hooray.
Hooray. So I will put that list in the newsletter. I'll just share it. That way you can look at it again. So yesterday I was working on this talk and I was thinking about Peter Mayer's song, Everything is Holy Now, the way that Faith Rivera sings it. And I've already asked David and the band if they can work that up for next week because really, truly, honestly, everything is holy now. And we have to remember that even when it's hard stuff or sad stuff or good stuff, that it's all holy because every single thing in our lives is for our awakening when we choose to see it and use it that way. So I want to close with a poem by Danusha Lamaris called Small Kindnesses. I've used this one before. I've been thinking about the way, when you walk down a crowded aisle, that people pull in their legs to let you by, or how strangers still say bless you when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we're saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we just don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and say thank you to the person handing it to us, to smile at them and for them to smile back, for the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder. I'm not sure about that one, but okay. And for the driver of the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat, or go ahead, you first, or I like your hat. We get to practice this divine presence that shows up as us. We get to be that in our world, and we get to explore and experience how it feels to be that enlightened being that is us. Do that. Bless yourself and bless us all. Thank you.